Charlie. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Roman Puss here with some Genshin Impact. I've had a lot of people who have actually been starting the game recently, so I really wanted to do a guide for them, and I have a lot of material to cover, so we're going to get right into it and we're going to dive in. So bear with me, we got to get to it. Let's go. All right, so first thing I want to cover is re-rolling. If you're a new player, you want to re-roll, you want to get that character that you want because they're brand new. Is it recommended? Generally, no, because you could have characters, say for instance, right now at the time of this video, we have Hu Tao came out. Hu Tao isn't until later on in the story, so you're not going to be able to go and collect your resources until you move on for quite a while. Usually it's not as bad because Hu Tao you don't get to for too long, but if you get an Inuzuma character like Yaemiko, who's going to be coming up soon, you got to watch out because you have a long time in the story mode before you're going to be able to get there, so you'll be sitting on a level 20 Yaemiko for quite a while. So be careful with that. I don't recommend re-rolling. Generally, you're just going to go through the story, you'll get it, you will eventually get more primos, and if you keep playing, you'll get primos enough, and you can just save them up and you'll be able to get the character that you want and your desired. Hopefully you don't get shafted on the 50-50. Weapon banners, are they worth it? Now, usually if you're a whale, go ahead, right ahead. If you got money to spend, then go ahead. You can go ahead. It's fantastic damage. You get the characters that you want, and the best part that I always go for is it's aesthetically pleasing. You get to have the beautiful weapon that looks beautiful on your character in most situations, except for Ayaka. Hers is purple, her design's blue, doesn't fit. But if you have things like Zhao, where you have the Jade Sphere plus his like jade color everything, it just fits perfectly. If you don't mind whaling, it's fantastic, would recommend. But if you're a free-to-play player, you can definitely get through the story, you can thrive in the story, you can clear everything that you need to with 4-star weapons that you'll be able to create, and you'll be able to craft 4-star weapons, and you can get R5 for them as well if you just keep on grinding. So it'll come with time, it'll be lots of grinding, but you'll be able to do it and it will work for you fantastically. So weapon banners, usually skippable. I would recommend going for the characters that you usually want, and if you have a lot of primos stacked up and you don't summon very often, so you have somehow are a god and are able to save up for everything, then strongly recommend that you could go for a 5-star weapon here and there occasionally. That's up to you. All right, my next bullet is the characters and their constipations, aka constellations. Do you need them? On most characters, no. Every character is playable in most circumstances. I don't recommend leveling up Amber. Would skip that if I were you, but there's a lot of other characters like Kaya's good. You're bound to get one of the shaft characters like Chi-Chi, Jean, Diluc, something of that sort. You're bound to get them when you're summoning because they're the shaft on the 50-50, or you got that brand new shiny character that you wanted in the first place. In most circumstances, you don't need the constipations, but there are certain characters that they thrive on, or it's obviously only going to help you in most circumstances, unless you're Bennett C6. Bennett C6 hurts you. Google why, or eventually I could cover that, but Google that why later on. Most people already know. We're well into Genshin, so most people will know that by now. So most constellations are helpful for characters, so they're good. You don't need them. You can absolutely play the character without them. You can level 90 them. You can get to the same level as a whale could if they had them C6. They just will perhaps be doing more damage than you, and they'll just be like giga stat, like hyper critting everything like that you might not be able to do. Like Child is kind of a prime candidate. C6 Child is so much better than a C0 Child. It's just is what it is. And you'll hear a lot of people calling them C6, C0. That's their constipation that they're at. So yeah, definitely skippable for sure. But if you want it, as a free-to-play player, you're most likely not going to be able to do it. I would skip doing constellations if you're free-to-play for sure. And yeah, that kind of goes along with the weapon banners. It's just kind of if you have extra primos or if you just have a fat wallet, then go ahead and do that. All right, you guys, these next 2 points are kind of a fatty one, so buckle up because this one I played the Genshin for months and I still don't even understand this, so listen closely. We have Elemental Burst. The difference between Elemental Mastery, Elemental Burst, and Elemental Damage. This is kind of like huge topics. Like, just work with me. I'm gonna go slowly a little bit for this one. So Elemental Burst. This is basically your ultimate skill. If you're playing on PC, it's your Q button. It does the big boom. It either shoots a big ability or it empowers you and makes you do fatty more damage. Pew, pew, pew. I play Kokomi, so you'll see that big holy grail around me a lot. So it's basically that. That's all it is, Elemental Burst. When you see increased Elemental Burst damage, it increases the damage on that ability and only that ability, which also kind of coincides with other things. So keep that in mind. Elemental Burst is not as scary as it sounds. It's basically just your ultimate. So keep that in mind. It's basically your strongest every character's strongest skill. It is what it is. And yeah, overall increases DPS and healing. The next one, I'll explain this later. I'm going to explain this as my next point after this, is Elemental Mastery. The stat is when you increase Elemental Mastery, you increase the damage on elemental interactions. And any elemental interaction could be like fire plus water, water plus fire, wind plus ice, ice plus fire. Any of those, I'll explain all the interactions coming soon. But the next one for this time being is elemental damage. Elemental damage is basically when you apply like basically your E or your Q whenever you see the colored damage when you're attacking something, anything that's not gray. So if you're a hydro unit, you'll see a little blue number that pops up when you attack things. That's your hydro damage. that can be applied with your E, your Q. If you're a catalyst user, you can sometimes like apply elemental damage. It's just an elemental. Whatever color is shooting is basically what elemental damage you're doing. So it's kind of easy. Like lightning will be purple, or electro will be purple, pyro will be red. It just goes like that. So that's elemental damage. Pretty easy. If you increase the damage, then your skills and your ultimate will do kind of more damage because it's all elemental damage. So it all coincides like that. All right, you guys. My next point. Now this one's a doozy. Kind of hold on with me and bear with me. This is elemental reactions. These are the reactions that you get from combining any of the two elements. It's kind of nutty. There's a lot to it. It's a lot going for it. So first one that I got is Vaporize. This is when you combine Pyro plus Hydro. The damage is calculated based off your attack and elemental mastery, so it goes up both your attack and elemental mastery of your characters that you're using. If the second element that is applied is Pyro, so basically they're already wet, they're sitting in the water, and you shoot a fireball at them, boom, it gets a multiplier of 1.5. Now, if they're lit on fire and I shoot water at them, it's going to get a multiplier of 2.0. So you can keep in mind that the damage is like varies per the character that you're using and the elemental that you're interacting it with. So it depends on this specific type of interaction. So for Vaporize, that's how it works. Basically, if you're using a water to hit a fire, like a person on fire, you're doing more damage. Kind of neat. I like the way they did that. It kind of busts Hydro units and makes it a little more even. Next up is Melt, Cryo, and Pyro. So when you damage, it goes off your attack and your elemental mastery, just like Vaporize. If you are a Cryo unit and you attack someone on fire, it's going to have a multiplier of 1.5. If you are a Pyro unit and you attack someone who's like frozen and like iced, you will do a 2.0 multiplier. So kind of Pyro is stronger in this situation, just like Vaporize, the Hydro is stronger in that situation. So certain characters you kind of can like manipulate on the order that you use them and the order that you combine these elemental interactions to do more damage, and it kind of like sticks out a lot. Now, these next ones don't go off attack. These ones are just basically off elemental mastery. Remember, elemental mastery is just when you combine elements, increases the damage of that interaction that happens. So we have Overloaded as the first one, which is basically Pyro and Electro. The damage is based on just elemental mastery. They ignore defense and they cannot crit. And the base damage for this at basically 90 is 2,901. I believe this is the highest one. Kind of does the most, so watch out for that. It's kind of nutty, it's kind of busting. So Overloaded, Pyro, Electro is one of the fat ones that you can go for. Let's see, SuperConduct is Electro plus Cryo. The damage is basically all the same. It's off elemental mastery, ignores defense, cannot crit, and it reduces the target's physical resistance by 40% for 12 seconds, which is really, really, really nice. The base damage at 90 is 725. You obviously get a lot of utility out of that, so that's kind of why the damage is a little bit lower. Next up is Electro-Charged, Electro plus Hydro. All of these that I've gone over in the past three can be applied in any order. There's no extra damage per the order on these ones. Just like the first two, like Vaporize and Melt, it matters, but these ones, it does not matter. They can be in any order. Doesn't matter. Electro-Charged, they can have both Electro and Hydro at the same time. So you'll see two little indicators above a unit that you're attacking. They can have both electric and water on top of it, which is kind of nutty because it'll allow you to hit them, shoot them with a fireball with Yanfei or something, and you will be able to trigger both the interactions, whatever interactions those are. I can't think of them off the top of my head. I'm trying to do this really fast, so I'm not going to do that. But yeah, basically it'll allow you to trigger Pyro plus Electro and Pyro plus Hydro all at the same time. So kind of does a little nutty interaction. It allows you to do fat damage if you do that. It is based off elemental mastery. It does ignore defense and it cannot crit as well. The base damage on this is 1,741. It's a little bit lower, but does have room for potential fat more damage because you can trigger two elemental interactions at once. Next up, Swirl. This one you'll see quite commonly. This one is a Nemo plus any other element that is not Geo. So that includes Pyro, Cryo, Hydro, and Electro. So basically you can apply them like either or. You can do Wind and then Lightning, or you can do Lightning. You can do Electro plus Wind, or you can do Wind plus Electro. It doesn't matter the order that you do it. It just triggers on any of that. It ignores defense, cannot crit per usual. These are all the same in that matter. And it has at level 90, the base damage of 868. It's fairly low, but you actually can trigger these quite often. It happens very often. But all these do ignore defense, so that's really, really nice. Next is the Shattered, which is basically breaking a Hydro plus Cryo person. When you combine Cryo plus Hydro, the enemy freezes. When you break that frozen enemy, it does a certain amount of damage. And this one's about 2,176 base damage at level 90. I'm doing all level 90s. I'll probably show the full chart here that I got from the Wikipedia page. I'm going to reference it. I'll put it down in the description for the Wikipedia page. Give me the full damage base below. So I'm just going to kind of get those two so you guys can see that all and throw that up for you. Next up is Crystallized. This happens quite often. Honestly, many people found this very useless because it doesn't do damage. This is Geo plus any element that is not a Nemo. So remember, a Nemo and Swirl, or a Nemo and Geo do not really interact with each other, essentially. But so you can combine it with Hydro, Pyro, Electro, Cryo, all that, and it will create a shield for you that blocks you from damage from that specific element. So if someone's on fire and I hit them with my Geo ability, they will spark a little pyro thing that was like a little crystal thing that shows up on the ground. You can pick it up and it'll give you a little mini shield. So even if you're not a shielding unit, you still get a shield. So it's kind of cool. And it'll block you from that specific element. And the base shield HP is 1851 at level 90. Pretty large, and it kind of, you can get a scaling ability on that as well if you increase your elemental mastery, so you can shield more damage, which is convenient. All right, the last one, Burning. Pyro plus Dendro. We don't have any Dendro units in the game as of this video, but I'm praying I'm going to be the master Dendro unit. I swear to God, I'm going to C6 every Dendro unit that comes out because I'm obsessed and I'm so ready for them, especially Baizu. Any Baizu stands, please comment down below. Burning. Pyro plus Dendro, it's basically when they have like the grass effect. You'll see it. It's really only the Dendro slimes because those are the only Dendro things that we have, or it's just grass sitting in general. If you light it on fire, then it does damage from anywhere from 2 to 100 all at once, and it goes and it just burns per second and does it for however many seconds. I don't remember specifically, but that doesn't matter too much. You probably don't care. All right, the last topic that I really wanted to go over was character roles and explain them in depth. This is kind of, I would really kind of focus on this because you kind of want to pay attention to who you have on your team and what you're using. Can you get by without having one of each of these on your team? Yes, you can, but it's probably going to make the game go a lot longer and take it's just going to make it much more difficult for you. But this is how I did. Honestly, when I started the game, I had Chi-Chi as my DPS for months until Zhao came out, which the game came out in September. Zhao came out in February. That is what, how many months that I was playing that? And yeah, it's crazy. And to be honest, I didn't even know the full elemental mastery situation, so that was insane as well. Character roles. DPS, a lot of people don't know this, it stands for damage per second. This is basically your highest damage dealer. This is the person you're probably going to be playing the most, and they're going to be whopping out the most damage and basically deal with the challenges and bosses for you and doing all the events and solving for you. Now, what you're going to do, everything with what's the purpose of your other characters is to help support them and help give them everything they need to either not die, do more damage, or shield and protect themselves, which is also kind of falls under not dying. So that is the thing as well. But some prime suggestions for DPS are, you have like Hu Tao, you have Zhao is my main one in that case. We have Ayaka. I have her weapon, but I don't have her yet. Don't ask me why, it was cringe. And then you have like Child and stuff. So that's some prime examples. If you need to look at it, I will kind of throw you guys a reference on who are some top DPS units. I'll probably throw that in the description down below, so be sure to check that out. And next up is Sub-DPS. People who can do basically a good amount of damage, and probably you could consider your main DPS as you're going through the story, because I mean, they're definitely playable. Like, any characters are playable in this game. That's the nice part, is PvE, so it's fantastic. They do enough damage, but they don't do crazy amounts of damage. So if you're looking to beat something quickly and super fast, usually Sub DPS isn't your main go-to. You would like a main DPS, but Sub DPS offers you good enough damage, but also offers you a good amount of utility. So they're kind of the in-betweens, and this is basically people like Raiden Shogun. You have Jingshu, Bennett, and like a variety of others. Like almost any character could be considered Sub DPS if you build them a specific way. So you could find out different alternate ways. I'm gonna put this down in the description. A good website that kind of is a good reference and a good starter point. I will try to get you guys like good guides for these, and I'm gonna kind of toy around with different builds for different characters in the future. So let me know if there's specific characters you guys want me to cover on trying out, like a DPS or a Sub DPS or utility for specific characters. If it's doable, I will do it. And then the last one is support utility. These characters are pretty simple. They're basically shielders, healers, energy rechargers, also known as batteries. You're definitely going to want one of those for specific characters on your team. People like the new Toma came out today, but not today. It came out this week. And you want a battery charger on that. So different like characters like that. You have people like Fischl. There's certain ones that are specifically for like their same element. So you have like Fischl's good for Electro. You have Sucrose is good for like a Nemo. You have Zhongli's good for Zhongli's good for shielder. He's not like a battery person, but like you have Fischl, Sucrose, Kokomi's good for heals. Zhongli's good for shields. You have Chi-Chi's a good healer. Probably too much heals, but she does the heal. So basically, support utility, you're definitely going to want one of those people on your team so you can prevent the damage and you don't have to keep guzzling food, because I don't know, if you cook from this game, I'm gonna be hard judging you because I have never like cooked or eat food unless I was forced to in this game. So that's just not me when I play these games. So it ain't for me. It ain't for me. But that is my overall quick guide that I wanted to cover for you guys. I hope to God that was helpful. I really hope that was what you guys needed. And yeah, so this is just some few things that I have culminated together. If there's any other things that you guys have topics or concerns about or would like me to cover, please let me know down in the comments below. I would love to cover for you guys. I just wanted to cover some main things that I found that I was always confused about when I was starting the game. And I know a lot of people are kind of starting the game and like running it up now, so I kind of want to give a little insight for you guys. But that's what I have, you guys. Let me know what you guys think of it down below. If there's any character guides you would like me to cover, let me know. If there's specific things on builds that you guys would like me to try out, I'm willing to do that as well. And I'm excited for Itho, so I'm going to be covering Itho when he comes out in a couple weeks, and he's going to be pumped. So I'm working on a Tomo guide coming up soon, and we'll be getting that kid out soon as well. So that's all I have, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully this was helpful, and I'm boy Roman Puss. I'm going to be taking off. Yeah, peace, beautiful people.